a lot of people take from the game, and not everybody gives back to the game. So I'm Mike Lacey, and I'm based in Auckland, originally from the UK. Lived in Auckland for the last 30 years, and I'm now retired, but I worked for a long time at the YMCA. Yeah, basketball's in the family. I started playing at 15. I've been involved ever since. When I retired full-time from work with the YMCA, I had a bit more time on my plate, started to write, developed a blog. Decided to focus really on mainly high school basketball here in New Zealand, particularly in Auckland, and the Kiwi college players in the States, of which there are now over 120. And I love following the progress of the young athletes.
So where does the passion for basketball come from?
I went to a very traditional school in the UK, in Birmingham, and it was a rugby playing school, and we weren't allowed to do any other sports. Finally, in my fifth form year, we were allowed to play a bit of basketball, and I was hooked on the game straight away. I loved it. Went to teachers training college, played there, coached there in my final year, and that led me to coach against a guy who was a deputy principal at a local high school, and he basically got me the job without much of an interview. So then I started coaching high school basketball again in the UK and played at club level. I developed my blog, and yeah, it's been successful. People take interest, particularly because families and friends love reading about the kids they know are progressing both in high school and in college hoops in the States. It's a real cool to follow the progress of players I've watched come from primary school, and now they've gone through high school, college system, and now they're playing professionally. I saw the Tom Abercrombies and the Cordy Websters and the Michaela Cox of this world. Saw them play as school kids. Now they're almost at the end of their professional careers. So.
Out of all the players that you coach, can you give me an example of who was one of the most talented basketball players that you have ever coached?
I've ever seen Michaela Cox as a junior player. And I mean, she was blessed with great levels of fitness, and her work ethic was something else, and it's no surprise to see her still playing at the top level. I think she's now probably about 35. And the first kid I saw play at the YMCA, and it was Corey Webster. He had some game. Even as a 10, 11-year-old, he was quite special. Yeah, right now we have a really good crop of junior players in Division 1 schools. So I think the future for the game in New Zealand is looking good, looking strong. You know, to watch your son, daughter stand there wearing the black singlet and hear the national anthem play before an international game is, yeah, something any parent would be proud of, no matter what sport.
If you have to pick one of your favorite Kiwi basketball memories, what would that be?
I went to the 2014 FIBA World Cup in Spain, meet Coach K and shake his hand. We made a family holiday out of it, get up close and personal to the games and to some of the players for interviews and so forth. So yeah, really nice.
So as a coach, what was your one best piece of advice that you give to the young Kiwi Hoopers?
I think it's important, and I certainly was guilty of it initially, is you sort of put too much focus on winning. I think I learned over time, and I would always encourage coaches to creating that love for the game. And so yeah, letting players make mistakes and letting players learn. It's certainly not very positive if all they're hearing is the coach barking instructions from the sideline and criticising them. So
I agree. In your opinion, what is one of the biggest what if in Kiwi basketball history? For example, like if something happened, would have maybe altered the history of Kiwi basketball?
Good question. I think I would look at the women's game more than the men's. I think the women's game has been stymied. The game had floundered for many years. What if the National League had been in progress for the last 12 years, 20 years rather than the last 12 months? You think of all the women who either had to go overseas to continue playing after college, or unfortunately, in a lot of cases, have just basically retired from the game because the opportunities just weren't there. You know, not everybody wants to go overseas to play the game. People just want to develop their careers or go back and live in their hometown. And now the opportunity has sort of represented itself that players can come back from college. They might not be able to play in their own town, but there's now 5 professional teams, fully professional, so they're paid. Hopefully that number will grow over the coming years, but it was a great start in 2022 to reintroduce it. So what if we'd had that for the last 10, 15 years?
Who is your top 5 Kiwi Hoopers of all time?
Ooh, great question. Well, Kirk Penny, I think, probably at the top of the list. When he came back to play for the Breakers after his stint in college and in Europe, that he had NBA quality about him, and his ability to score the ball was just something else, something we hadn't seen in New Zealand. Phil Jones would be right up there as well. I remember the first time I ever saw him play, and it was actually for the Tall Blacks. Probably Dylan Boucher, because of just what all those things he could do that don't register on the box score, his ability to set screens at the right time, to find the open man with a pass, got so many qualities. As I say, I'm equally interested in the women's game, so Michaela will be right up there. Another player who I love watching, Toni Faramati. She was a great athlete, played at the Olympics. She's got some game, and those players stand out for me.
I think my last question for you is, when it's all said and done, how would you like to be remembered?
Personally, giving back to the game. I think a lot of people take from the game, and not everybody gives back to the game. Yeah, you go to national tournaments right now and you see Phil Jones there, coaching his son and his daughter, who are excellent players. Not everybody does that. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody wants to do that. In my case, I guess, I got so much from the game. It got me my first ever job. It introduced me to my wife. As I said before, I've seen my children play a game they love to a good level. Yeah, I enjoy giving back to the game, and I hope I can carry on doing that in a small way for a little longer. Yeah, you can, easy to find me on Facebook, Mike Lacey, or LaceyLowdown.com, and I try and post a couple of stories a week. If you're interested in how Kiwis are getting on in college basketball, pop in and have a look.
I want to give a shout out to Kiwi Hoopers.
Shout out to Kiwi Hoopers.